Hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Off the Spotlight. Hey, it's the host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer, here where I get the opportunity and the privilege to be able to go behind the scenes with best-selling authors from across the globe. Today we have on the brilliant and beautiful Dr. Ashley Wellman. Say hello to the people, Dr. Wellman.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to come on every morning so I can start my day with an
Come
introduction
on
like
now,
that.
come on now. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, people. So we're so glad to have Dr. Wellman on just to share a little bit about her. She has been a scholar specializing in homicide and victimology and trauma since 2008. As a widow and single mother, she had to rebuild and redefine her life. Now, as author of My Friend Fresno, children's book series, she is creating a life full of magic for her family while spreading a message of love, acceptance, and friendship to all those who interact with her business. So, you know how we do it for those who tuned into this particular episode. You know what we do. We go behind the scenes with best-selling authors. So, we want to get down to the nitty-gritty, Dr. Ashley. So, I want you just to take a moment to just share the evolution to how you end up in this place. Because some are just looking like, oh, wow, she's on the author spotlight and it's just been, peaches and cream. And I see the book in the background. Oh, OMG, So if you don't mind, I know this won't be like a Lifetime movie or whatnot, but if you could just take us back, what were some of the turn of events or the things that happened that had allowed for you to be on the path that you are now, leading up to where you are with the release of My Friend Fresno?
Okay, well, it's not a Lifetime movie, but it's not a horror film either. So the reality is that life happened. And if you had asked me 3 years ago, hey, Ashley, what are your thoughts of publishing a children's book and doing it on your own, right? I would have laughed and I would have said, you do know what I specialize in, right? I'm a criminologist. I study murder. I study sexual assault. I study all the easy, lighthearted topics, that don't seem to go with a children's book. But I also thought I had life completely figured out and that I was on this path of, quote, success. And so for me, writing wasn't really the creative writing, let's say that. Creative writing really wasn't a part of my life anymore. I've always been super creative. I've always kind of had that niche and that bug to do something that where I get to create. But as a professor and as a researcher, that really doesn't go together, you know? And so I had kind of put that part of myself aside. And then, as you had mentioned, life happened. And in 2018, my daughter, who was then 4, she and I actually witnessed the death of my husband due to a pulmonary embolism. And so he collapsed in our home. It was horrifically traumatic. And I was supposed to somehow overnight understand how to live life as a widow, to live life as a grieving mother, and as someone who was supposed to guide a child through losing and witnessing the death of her best friend. So I was lost is the ultimate reality. And I'm grateful for a friend who said, Ashley, you really can't do everything the way you were doing it before because what you study is so heavy. So what if you took a break for a minute and you wrote creatively as a way to heal? And it really became a therapy tool for me to say, I don't always have to do something heavy. I could do something beautiful with my time, right? And it was just a way to escape reality. And so for me, the Girl Who Dances with Skeletons, My Friend Fresno, started 2 years ago. And in that moment, when my friend saw this little picture of my daughter dancing with her best friend, who's a posable skeleton, I am a criminologist, so it makes sense. But he saw this picture and he said, that should scare a baby, right? And yet she sees beauty and love in something that other people view as scary. And he said, like we do that every day. We're scared of people who don't look like us, who don't practice the same religion, right? All of these things. But if you take time to understand them, they're actually beautiful and they make our life better. And so I said, oh my God, I could do that as a story of this unlikely friendship between my daughter and this little skeleton, and really realizing that, yeah, we're really different, but if we take time to get to know each other, those differences make our life better. So this is just this whim I have. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to write for fun. I start writing a teen novel as well. And I started to see color again, Darren. I don't know about you, but when I started creating and doing something new, I felt alive again. And so what started as a healing mechanism, right? I had gone back to work. I thought I was going to be the superstar again at work. Grief changes the world, and it changes your place in it, and it changes the relationships you have and things like that. I realized forcing myself back into the old Ashley and the old normal didn't exist. And so I started to say, what if this thing that was fun could actually be a adventure for my daughter and I, right? To start spreading and teaching. I'm a teacher at my heart, and I'm an advocate at my heart. So what if I took those skills and put them on paper, and made a business out of it? So here I am.
I love that. I love that, Dr. Wellman. When we look at this, I want those who are listening to this to be able to glean and pick up out after what Ashley has shared with us of the importance of, and you've heard me say this for those who listen, your pain is your product. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but it's the truth. Mm-hmm. And when you look at this, are you going to use that to be bitter? Or are you going to use it to self-sabotage, and not just yourself, but those who are around you? Or are you going to do what Dr. Ashley Wellman has done and choose to take a negative and make it a positive? And look at how her daughter is benefiting because she has her mom.
And I'll tell you, Darren, it's hard. And that's what they don't, it's this, I remember lying in bed and kind of being like, I've got two options. It really is that. I've got two options. I can shut down and stay in the bed, which is what I want to do. But my daughter deserves better than that. And it started with that. And now it's morphed into 2 years after my husband's death. It's morphed into, I also deserve more than that. And that's been probably the hardest thing. I'm worth taking a risk on myself. I'm valuable enough to do this. I'm talented enough to do it, even though it feels really scary. And the fact that, when you think about it, I think we also want these quick products and this quick adventure. And for me, it's been a beautiful process of saying, like, this is the first time in my life I can't snap my fingers and create and make something happen, right? Because in my other line of work, it's been like, do this, then this comes. And writing's so different, right? I was working with Zach Kincaid, who's an illustrator, who's brilliant. It's Thomas Kincaid's nephew, one of the most famous artists in the world. And he's an artist. And I had to be like, oh, wait, this is not going to be a fast process, and you're learning along the way, and you hit bumps and you make mistakes and you get the proof and it doesn't look the way you wanted it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a journey. And that means there's also this like personal journey that's happening while your creative product is going on. And it's this simultaneous, beautiful, horrific, scary thing. So I do want to be transparent and say, like, as beautiful as it looks like I'm that duck on top of the water that underneath, is paddling really, really, really hard, because the reality is it's brave to step out and try it. And it is joyful, but there's also a lot of scary behind the scenes things that happen. And you have to trust that the journey's worth it. The moment might be hard, but the journey's worth it. So just keep going.
And to me, what you shared there is the importance of what we call living. You can see some who are just stuck. They're not doing anything that has purpose, and you can tell it by how they're living life. And so even though it can be, scary at times, even though you have those moments like, what the heck am I doing here or whatnot, at the same time, it's so beneficial. It's so worth it, because I believe, that you can stop me, but I believe that's who we're created to be. Oh, yeah. I believe that we are innovative. I think we are creative. I think a certain level of uncertainty has you, play your best game, because you got to be prepared. You got to bring your A game. You got to get up. You just can't just lay around and hope everything works out for you or whatnot. And
no, but I think we're conditioned to believe that we're not supposed to be that way. Like for me, I've lived this life of like security. I'm a type A person. I need to know that my feet are on the ground. I'm the breadwinner of the family. Now I'm a single mom. Do you know what I mean? So all these voices and people who love and care about me have said things like, Ashley, what if you fail? Ashley, this is really risky. Ashley, like you're going to give up something stable for something unstable. And I've gotten to the point where I don't think people can understand unless they've, I don't think I can understand another widow in my situation, but without having gone through my experience, I think it's hard for people to look in and say, you want to know what's most important for her right now is living a life that's healthy and happy and full of purpose. And yeah, it may not work, right? I think Fresno is going to be the next hit kids series, right? And it's going to bring a lot of like love and warmth and acceptance to people. But if it doesn't, it's not a failure. So I think recasting the pressure and the definitions we put on what is success, what is stable, what is this and that. COVID has shown us nothing is stable. Okay. Nothing stable. And the reality is that at the end of the day, let's say Fresno, the 10,000 copies that are sitting upstairs in my house, let's say that those don't sell. I created a children's book. My daughter's a children's book character. I have touched at least currently 157 lives with my book. Do you know what I mean? Pre-ordered. So it's like, I've done something that I never imagined that mattered in my life right now, and that will forever be a part of my story. So whether anyone else gets on the bandwagon or not, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not a failure. If eventually I say, oh, I want to do something else now. You know, and I think that's giving our permission to dream and permission to pursue something that, quote, isn't stable, and believing that it's on me to make it successful. And that's cool right now, you know, to have control of something. That's almost what it's given me too, is control of something, because my life didn't have it. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of like, okay, well, everything I've known fell apart. So guess what? I get to recreate a new person, you know?
You know, I know it might not be the perfect example, but it's the truth. Those that we admire the most are those who are able to reinvent themselves.
I think you're absolutely right. I think,
you know, so whether it's a Madonna, whether it's a Michael Jordan, or I mean, whoever it is, you know, even if you look at Oprah Winfrey or whatnot, it's just something about someone who could be looked at it one way or start off in one area and, you know, basically have the guts to say, you know what, I'm going to create a new me. Yeah. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to pivot. And I love what you use, that season. So that season, I think also the importance of what does this mean to your legacy because of your daughter seeing you take these healthy actions. So like you said, regardless of, and we're not knocking and saying that those 10,000 upstairs won't do what they need to do. Okay,
I think 1 million are going to sell, Darren.
Yeah, there you go.
I agree.
There you go. You know, we can't even fathom what's going to happen with that. But let's just look at the real value. What does that mean to that young lady who grows up, and then as time goes long down the road, but when she has her kids and grandkids and so on, and what does that do for the legacy of my mom did this? I can't imagine now that I have come of age what I would do without blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And what I would do. And for her to be able to do, I thought I understood, but now, and the legacy piece that leaves for generations to come of who we are you playing a role in your family for generations to come to say, this is an identity piece for us. We bend, but we do not break. Yes, it's going to be tough, but we're going to keep moving forward. And share with us, if you don't mind, Dr. Wellman, out of your story, extract 2 or 3 lessons that are transferable for our audience that you've been able to glean from your own story that they can utilize in theirs.
I think one of the things is if you have children or a spouse or those kinds of things, let them be part of the process, right? Reagan was forced into a process to grieve alongside me, and not everyone, I pray no one else has to do that, but not everyone's going to have that they're battling, but let your family in the process. The joy, the heartbreak, this, you know, when you're scared, when you're rejoicing in something, show them all of it, because that is part of growing as a family and as a person, and having Reagan say, oh my gosh, my mom believed in herself enough to take risk. And when my mom tells me I can be whatever I want, she means it. Because like, I saw her struggle, but I also saw her rejoice, and I saw her successes, and I saw her failures. Don't hide the bad, you know, and pretend like we're all on Facebook all the time. We're not, right? We only put our best selves out there a lot of the times, but to be transparent, especially with your family, and say, I need you to support me when it's bad, and I need you to rejoice with me when it's good. Because I think it's cool for them to see the whole journey. Reagan's been my little CEO, marketer, you know, all kinds of stuff. She's 6. And the other day when I had a meltdown about my proof that came in the mail, right before, because it's getting real, Darren, like they're printing all of them now. So the anxiety was overwhelming, and I open it, something was different, not bad, but different. And a type A person doesn't do different very well. So I have this meltdown of like, screw it, the whole book's terrible, throw it away, burn the house down, I don't even care. And I needed my 6-year-old to say, hey, mama, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's perfect because you did it. And it's really good, and no one else is going to know that it's not perfect. So those kinds of things, having those little cheerleaders and believing, maybe a 6-year-old has to tell you, but believing in the process and not thinking it's going to be quick, not thinking it's going to be beautiful all the time, but believing in it enough to say, this is worth it because of what's coming, and celebrating little moments in that journey, because it doesn't always have to just be when that book is a bestseller. It could be when you get an illustration. It could be when, you get your editor sends something back, like a friend that edited your book for you and says like, it was really good, cool, celebrate. So those little things. I think the other thing is learning just as a human to have grace for yourself. Because I'm 36 and at 34, I sure didn't have it. And right now it's not perfect, but I'm learning because I've witnessed so much change. You know what I mean? That there's having grace, not only with myself, but with other people around me. I've grown so much. And I think the lessons that I had written into Fresno that were really for kids, I'm looking back and I'm like, oh my God, those apply to all of us, right? So truly loving yourself, perfect or imperfect, right? And all the blemishes in between, loving yourself, realizing that everyone struggles. Life is hard enough without, like already prejudging or not accepting people. So learning to have the grace with yourself and others and celebrating what the good, the bad, the ugly, and the differences bring to the table, I think is like the best approach to life. And I'm learning, I'm practicing, but I'm grateful for everyone who's had grace with me. And I feel like a stronger woman because I've let new people, new things, new emotions, new experiences into my life, because I literally needed, like things to be added to my life. And now I'm so grateful. So I think grace and acceptance and love and leading with that, not this pursuit of success, the success will come. Do you know what I mean? But leading with this pursuit of kindness and love and saying, that's what I want to feel. So I want to put it out there.
And when you bring that up, I think that for those who are listening, wherever you are in your life, like whether you're an author or not, these are just rules to live by, period. The goal isn't perfection, it's progression.
Oh, I like that.
Make sure that you get that. Make sure that you understand it. This is what Dr. Wellman is sharing with us. It's moving forward. The progression is the key. And at the end of the day, just like what, the guru Reagan shared with us, is that, they're not going to even notice it.
Mm-mm.
Stop taking yourself so serious or whatnot. The average, not just average, the people who are looking at it think it's wonderful.
Right. They don't know.
They don't know. They don't even care. And this is something that I want those who are listening to pick up on, that Ashley shared with us too. And I want to just pour this into you. What's more important, for you to have perfection or for someone to be helped?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question, because it's easy for us to use it. Well, I just want to help someone. Yeah, I just want. Okay. Well, if that's the case, and that is great, we have to put ego aside and stop saying, well, I'm a perfectionist, I can help it, I don't want to put nothing else out unless it's quality. Just thinking like a homeless person, that warm meal, that soup, that sandwich, they don't care if you didn't spread the mayo the right way, or you didn't have all the things the right way, the right utensils that you wanted to use before you put the pickle on it. They don't care about that. It was able to fill their stomach or whatnot. And when we look at filling and the helping of souls by those who will be able to benefit from this book, or the books that you have, I'm throwing it out there, whatnot, for the additional stuff that's coming in the series, that's the key to it. And I want those who are listening to this is to take these nuggets that, Ashley has shared with us, of the importance of get started. Mm-hmm. If that's for you, start over. Okay, you had the divorce. Okay, you didn't get your degree, you didn't get your bachelor's. Okay, it's all right. You had a strained relationship with someone that you love. Someone passed away. It's okay to start over again. You're not gonna have control over everything. You're not gonna know how everything is gonna work out. But it's something beautiful that happens with those glorious ruins, so to speak.
And I think sharing that, Darren, too, sharing the the bad, right? It's not always bad. Cause like, I think for so long, I didn't want to make others uncomfortable. So it was like, oh, I'm good. Oh, I'm fine. You know, or like, I really didn't want to be the widow, and I really didn't want to be, you know, the person who didn't do X, Y, and Z. But now I'm learning that even those, the real parts of my story, not My Friend Fresno, because that's my prayer, is that that reaches little ones and their parents. But to me, things like this, if I can use things I've been through and heartbreak that I've felt and be authentic and say it's messy, it's ugly, but there's so many beautiful moments, right? Don't stop writing the story, because after every bad moment, in that broken part, I've gotten to rebuild, and it doesn't always turn out the way I wanted it, but it crumbles again. Life's going to happen. It's going to crumble again, and I get to rebuild her again. So there's freedom and there's power in owning some of the things that have brought me to my knees, right? There's beauty in that. Now I look back and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I've suffered miscarriages, but I've got a beautiful baby. Yes, I lost my husband, but I was loved fearlessly, right? Yes, my career didn't pan out necessarily the way I wanted it to, but if it had, would I have been brave enough to jump? Do you know what I mean? So it's all of these different things that it's like, tell your story. Just unapologetically own your story, and think about the person listening who's never been able to share it, or who didn't know other people felt that way. Do you know what I mean? And what they can learn from you.
You know what? You're gonna have to do more speaking. You know that, don't you?
I hope so.
I know we're in the middle of the air or whatnot, but I'm hearing you over here, girl, and I'm just like, wow. And I do speak in circus and all know and do it professionally too sometimes. And I'm like, man, I'm like, okay, I see.
Let's do it together, Darren. Let's
come on now, let's
take on the world.
Come on now, girl. We're gonna give them a new version of Ebony and Ivory. We're gonna take the world by storm. Come on.
Good, gorgeous melody. I'm in.
Come on, girl. Let's go. But you know, let's talk a little bit more on the mindset. I want you to talk to people on this. Yes, you have the daughter, but what allows for you to use that same mindset for one, to get, you know, you got to get out of bed. You had to make that decision. Mm-hmm. Okay, now you need to do something that's therapeutic that's going to help. Okay, but what allows for you to keep, because some people, they stop and plateau. But I want you to take our audience to your psyche to keep reaching for higher, even though it's uncertain, even though it might not align with the coursework that you did in undergrad. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't align with your master's. It doesn't align with your doctorate. Some people can't get over that hump of attaching themselves to the identity of what they were taught in school, even though they need to pivot.
Yes.
Thus, if you're not careful, you blockbuster, or
yes,
you cause a rust because you don't make the necessary pivot in your career and your life. So speak to us about that psyche for you to be able to get over that hump of what society thinks you should be doing because you are a doctor, and for you to go out for as what you're passionate about.
A lot of therapy. And a lot of really good friends telling me they believe in me. No, but I think the real thing is that as I've gotten distance from my husband's death, right? And even like looking back on some of the experiences I've had in life, I've always tried to please everybody else, you know? And it's this underlying, like, I'm not fulfilled. I feel empty. I feel tired. I feel unhappy. I feel underutilized. I don't feel appreciated, right? And it's from different parts of your life at different moments of your life. You know what I mean? So I think after Buddy passed away, and then after my career started to shift, and I was like, wait a minute, I was successful. Why is this now looking different? Do you know what I mean? I literally spent a couple months just in a dark space. And I had Fresno going on where I was like, if I am not this, then what am I? And I'm not willing to lose everything I've worked for. And I did this stupid thing of saying things like, you know, how much worse can it get? Don't ever ask that. Or things like, you know, if not this, then like, how could this happen to me? And all of this stuff. And then I got to a point where I was tired of hearing it, you know? And I said, okay. And I had a friend very bluntly say, I love you so much. I'm just going to call horseshit on what you're doing. Okay. Because you got two options: believe that or change it. And that's it. I mean, those are the two options you've got, you know? And I was like, oh my God, true enough. Right. So then it became this thing of, am I willing to put in the hard work to be the woman I want to be. And I think it took me soul searching. Quarantine helped a lot, the quiet of quarantine, but a lot of soul searching to say, are you worth, right? Are you worth what you want? And if the answer is yes, then what are you doing? You know, are you worth more than what you feel right now? And the answer is yes. You don't have to go into a toxic workplace or go to a place because you quote need the paycheck, right? Create a different paycheck or step down for a minute and pivot and do something different, right? Because at the end of the day, I could have been Buddy Wellman on August 12th, 2018. I could have died and he could have been left behind. Do you know what I mean? And I want to make a life that counts, and I'm worth investing in myself, the time and the energy it takes. And it is hard work. It is not fun looking at yourself and having to dig deep. And so I think for me, it really was, the further out I get from Buddy's death, I go, I want to make sure. I made him a promise when I kissed him goodbye, literally. And I said, I will make a beautiful life for your daughter. Don't know how, but I'm going to make her a beautiful life. And so it's been that pursuit of like, look, if that's true and Reagan deserves better, I deserve better, then I'm the only one who has the power to change that and fix it, you know? And so it's never going to be perfect timing. It's not going to be easy, but do it scared. That's what I just keep telling myself. Just do it scared and think about, like, if you'll just start it and do it, just jump. Cause it's like skydiving or something. I will never skydive, but Darren, if you got me in that airplane, you better just push me out, because there's never going to be a time that I'm comfortable jumping, you know? So for me, it's just like, oh, is the parachute on? Cause I'm going to dive out of here and just get it over with and start.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, what's that over there?
Ooh, just push me out.
Yeah. Hey, you know, I thought I seen something. Oh,
no, and then I'm going to get to the bottom and I'm going to be like, look what I just did, Darren. That was so great.
Hey, high five. I know you could do it. Just
right.
a little push in the back. What a friend's for. That's what I'm talking about. You know, but when you think about this and, you know, moving it and doing it scary, I think that's the issue with so many people out there. Because if you're not careful, you can end up in a place. And I want to share this in love. I just had a conversation before we even got on air, and this is just a testament to what you just shared with us. If you're not careful, if you won't take these moves for yourself, you'll find yourself in a dark place, or you'll find yourself where it'll show up in ugly ways, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's your response to those who are around you, a beautiful situation where your kids, your perspective is not allowing for you to see it that way. You owe it to you to be the best version of yourself. No one else will have a bad experience if you are a best version of yourself. If you are a healthy version of yourself, you're going to be able to love those who love you better. You're going to be able to be more understanding, that grace, you know, that you've been able to have that type of mercy for not only yourself, but for others. It's transferable. It's something that will spill over. It's infectious. But if you don't get that, and if you keep sacrificing and thinking that it's noble, which is okay to do it to a certain extent, but if you forfeit taking care of you, you're not going to be good to anybody else. It's going to show up. That pressure valve is going to blow up in an ugly way, whether it's an affair, whether it's something else with, you know, a vice, whatever that thing may be, but it's going to show up in an ugly way. And it doesn't matter all the accolades. It doesn't matter how many, if you got more degrees than a thermometer, it doesn't matter, you know, all the awards you want. At the end of the day, if you don't handle that and be the best version of yourself, either someone can choose to love you, which you going for the best version of yourself, or not, but you owe it to you to do that. And I think that you've done that, Ashley. And if you don't mind, how can the people connect with you? How can they get a copy of the book? You know, we got 10,000 we need to get out of the upper room up there. So let's start working on that. So how can they connect with you? Social media handles, landing page, website, whatever you got. And I'll make sure we have it in show notes.
Yes. So it is going to be on my website. Come play and shop. There's more than just the book. We've got plush dolls and puzzles, and I created a bone boutique, Darren, for everyone to jump in there and look for Fresno and his friends. It's www.myfriendfresno.com. And there's going to be the shop. There's going to be resources for parents and talking to their kids about being different and loving yourself, and those exciting and hard conversations. And then there's also on social media, if you want to follow us at My Friend Fresno, Or if you want to follow me, Ashley Wellman, it's funny, I divided my website. I was like, Ashley the scholar or Ashley the author? Which one do you want to know about? So if you want to follow me, you can start at my website, www.ashleywellman.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we thank you, Dr. Ashley, for coming on today. You definitely have, tremendously blessed us and hit us in the head with these value bombs too. I don't know about anybody else, but I was able to take notes. I was able to identify what you shared because I think it's important, this message of being real, being genuine is not always perfect. You're going to have to make tough decisions. And with love, like that friend of yours who was able to call you on that horse shit and just let you know, like, hey, some people think that's being mean, but they know that it's more in you. And somebody got to call it. Like we say in Texas, you got your rubber boots on. Somebody got to call you on that to help you be the best version of yourself. And so I just want to just commend you for being, number one, good to yourself, but being an amazing mom, choosing to be extraordinary and instead of ordinary. So thank you for leading the way and opening up to us to help us, because some people don't have it yet to be able to share. I said yet, they haven't had it to be able to share, but they're thinking the same things that you're thinking. So we, by you sharing today has helped someone not commit suicide, someone marriage to make it, someone to be a better spouse, to be in a relationship with a child or a grandchild, because of this kind of conversation you had. So I just want to thank you so much.
Thank you, Darren,
for coming on and sharing with us that way or whatnot. But before we go, speak to that person out there, Ashley, who's in a dark place. They say, you know what? I'm not Dr. Wellman. I'm not Steve Harvey. I'm not Oprah. I'm not Warren Buffett. But I have a story that I want to share. But with all the stuff that's going on, why would someone want to hear me? And they're straddling the fence. Can you speak to that person out there of the importance of why they should still share their story with the world?
Absolutely. I would tell them, remember, you're on a journey. You're writing the book of your life, right? And sometimes chapters don't end with a cliffhanger. Sometimes they don't end in the way you wanted them to. But we have the power to turn the page every time a chapter ends, whether it's 2 pages, whether it's 300 pages, whether it ends in a happy way or a sad way. If you stop writing it, it never gets to get fixed. Right? So if you're willing to keep writing and you're willing to keep turning the page, make decisions in your life that you go, now this chapter, this one makes me want to keep reading. And when it doesn't go the way you want, don't forget there's another chapter coming, right? And you have no clue where that chapter is going to take you on the adventure. So don't ever give up, right? You hold the pen figuratively and literally, for authors listening, to create a magical life. It won't always be pretty. The dark moments can really illuminate, right? Things you never thought possible. So keep writing, keep turning the page. Don't ever close the book until it's forced closed on you, right? Because you'll never know what's at the end.
Oh, wow. Come on now. Let me drop the pen, drop the mic. Dr. Ashley has dropped the mic on us in here. Okay, we're done. Let's go to the house, people.
Done.
Hey, there you go. Put a fork in it. It's done or whatnot. But we thank you again. Take those words of encouragement and that wisdom, that wise counsel, and use it for your life. And remember that this is the year for your new book. If you won't change, be the change. Until next time, be blessed and be great.